What's up? What's up, flooring family? Welcome to the Huddle. We're here every Tuesday at 3 o'clock to discuss maintaining forward progress in your flooring career. I'm Paul Stuart with Go Carerra. With me, as always, is Daniel and Jose Gonzalez of Preferred Flooring from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Fellas, we're trying to catch up beforehand here, but how's things going?
Better this week for me, man. I was down and out
Yeah.
last week.
He
But
he was
There was
dead.
a bit of, I think,
man
a few
flu.
of down.
Man
I was
flu.
down, you were down.
I had the man flu. If
Yeah,
we're being scientific, I had the man flu.
the man flu.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this week's a little bit off the beaten path of flooring installation and tools and everything else we talk about a lot. We are going to be talking about mindset, and I think, kind of diving into the mindset that you need to take the next level, and almost no matter what level you're at now, but taking it to the next level. I've had the real pleasure and I'd say blessing of working with some of the, at least one of these guys. His name's Ed Milet, is one of the top mindset coaches on the planet, really. Certainly in the United States, he was uh, one of Tony Robbins'
Losing you a little bit.
early pro. But at the same time, is that me?
Yeah.
We heard uh-oh.
Okay. Let me try something here.
Is that on our end, Daniel?
No, it's your Wi-Fi, Paul.
Yes. I'm going to try and switch over here. Get this fired up.
Busting out the hotspot.
Busting out the hotspot.
There you go.
Hopefully I don't lose you guys when this happens.
You know how to get back on.
Yeah.
If you don't, Ashlyn does. She's pretty smart.
How's that? Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. Probably looked like a robot for a second there.
Sounded like a robot.
So I don't know where I started really
So
breaking
the,
The coach.
Yeah, just start with when you were talking about the mindset coach.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I've had the real pleasure of learning from one of the best in the nation, probably the world, on mindset training. And once you go down the path of working on your mindset, it never stops, guys. And it's one of those things that I think is a real separator between high performers and people who kind of get stuck. And it's a good way to get unstuck. And his name's Ed Milet. He was one of Tony Robbins' proteges long time ago. He's built, I don't know how many fantastic companies, but he's owned companies in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, he just bought an island that has a 6,000-foot cottage on it. So that tells you anything. He flies in a Falcon 900 or some crap private jet. So he's he's been ultra successful, but he's one of the most down to earth and very personable people you'll ever meet. I don't say that to brag on Ed. What I'm saying is he did come from nothing, and like Tony, he talks about the six real human needs, and one of them being significance. Others are like variety and security and those types of basic human needs. He's high on the significance chart, meaning when he achieves things, that's what really feeds his soul. But what he's taught me over the past probably 3 to 4 years is no matter what level you're at, you can take these steps to take yourself to the next level. And those steps start with your mind. It's really fascinating if you think about the brain. Everything you see, everything you've touched or you use on a daily basis started as somebody's thought.
Mm-hmm.
It was a thought in somebody's mind that collaborated with some other people's thoughts, and then some engineering thoughts, and then before you know it, you have a product that you love, like an iPhone or something. So a lot of people, when they get stuck, and when I get stuck, and it happens when you hit these ceilings, and Ed teaches this theory that we all have an internal thermometer, kind of like on the wall in your house. And if you're at, if you're set at a 70, it's real hard without changing your mindset to perform better than that. And sure enough, you'll have this great success on something, and then you'll feel yourself just crash right back down. I know that I've witnessed that in my career and in my personal life, and athletically as well. When I was competing in different races, OCRs and such, you can catch yourself doing really well at something, and you get this real success it feels, but then you almost self-sabotage, and it's because you haven't changed your mindset to most of the time believe you're worthy of that. So when we're installers, and a lot of companies that are around right now are installers like you guys or like myself that went on to start building a company, and your belief system changes, right? You start to believe a little bit more as you go. As you achieve something, you start to believe. Well, that's kind of slowly moving that temperature gauge back up to where you want it to be. Maybe you're at a 50 and you want to be at a 70, so to speak. Believing that you can get there is the first battle. And thinking big is the other thing. Like, you won't fail if you don't think big, right? Because if you're always thinking really small, those are achievable things.
Just limiting yourself,
yeah. If you've been to a goal setting workshop or something where someone's teaching you about setting goals, they're going to tell you, like, set big goals, most of them. And I believe in that, but you also have to believe that it's possible.
Right. I've been listening a lot to Simon Sinek. Like, I just listened to Start With Why, and then I'm listening to Find Your Why right now too. And one of the things that he always points back to is Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's all in how.
Is that who said that?
Yeah, Henry Ford.
I've been saying that to people since I was a little kid. I never even knew where I heard. I've just been saying it to them. Like, heard that somewhere.
It's like it's all in what you believe, right? If you believe you can, you're gonna do it. And that's where we kind of balance each other out, because he thinks that 100% anything is possible. And then me, I'm more like, ooh, that's gonna...
The eternal optimist.
I just think it's all feasible, right? Because you surround yourself with... We've been fortunate to surround ourselves with great minds. And when you surround yourself by people who are full of positivity, it feeds to your positive nature too, and that's where most of that comes from. I've never had a coach like this gentleman that you're talking about. Maybe I should look into that because mindset is different, and it has changed, and it will change. Mindset today isn't going to be the same in 5 years. I guarantee that. But I think
yeah, it's a discovery. I mean,
right.
They're going to discover new ways. The truth is, your mind doesn't change that. Like the neurotransmitters and these things, they don't change that fast. But humans are starting to learn. They're calling it the enlightened phase, where you're starting to learn that your mind is your tool. Like your subconscious is your tool.
Yeah.
And your job as a human is to feed your subconscious the things you desire and believe in, and allow things to happen. That doesn't mean you imagine stuff and poof, everything just appears on your front door. But it means you still have to take action. But that's part of you. And this is the cool part. Your taking action is part of you solidifying your belief in something. Like if you really believe something, you're going to take action on it.
Yes.
Right. And if you don't, that's when we procrastinate. That's when we hold up. It's either fear or lack of belief. And so what you think about and how you go about your day, and like Simon Sinek, man, that dude is absolutely awesome too.
Yes.
Start with your why. I have not read that, Daniel, so I'd like to hear some of the insights you've garnered from that. But one of Ed's most, this comes from neuroscience. This isn't phony baloney stuff. Now, have you guys ever heard of The Secret, right? The book, The Secret. It's like talks about, it was one of the first books written on.
It's funny. I think I have it. I might have downloaded it. But...
I think you talked about it one of the last previous episodes, right?
Yeah, I think I've referenced it. It's a little bit floofy for me, but it was the first book, one of the first books that really was talking about affirmations and speaking things into existence and all this stuff. It puts it in a way where almost the action is secondary, not as necessary, which I don't agree with myself. I think action is how you solidify your belief in something. Mm-hmm. So if you can dream it, you can achieve it, right? You've probably heard that saying before. And so, but the only way you convince yourself sometimes that it can be done is just by taking action. I know that even in actually installing floors, I've gotten a set of blueprints before as an installer, and I'm like, how in the world? I don't know how to do this at all.
I don't love those prints. I love those kind of.
How in the world am I going to make this happen? Well, you just take one step and 1 foot in front of the other, and you start working it.
Yeah.
And you start to figure some things out, and you start to figure out how to get it done. You make a few mistakes, course correct,
yeah.
So this is applicable stuff, but first you have to believe you can actually do it. So getting those drawings, like you said, you love them, Jose.
I love it. I love the thought process and the internal brainstorming that is involved in that. When someone says it can't be done, or you feel like, or it's like, as you looking at, you're right, like that's impossible. Just the thought process going through that. I don't know why I love that part. I just love that part.
But when you look at it and you're like, yeah, I can figure that out. Like in the back of your mind, you're like, I can figure that out. Right?
I'm always like that, no matter what. Sometimes I might have to stop.
Well, that's the belief.
Yeah.
That's the belief. That's the piece that, a lot of people lack. And you just have to find that belief. Or some people, it comes very natural, like yourself, and you need Daniel with the lasso to kind of rein you back sometimes.
Like the person.
I know you think you can do it, big brother, but just think about it for a second.
Well, the thing is, like, yes, it can be done, right? But like the perspective that he brings to it is like, I'm sure it can be done, but at what cost can it be done?
Right.
What's it going to do? What domino is it going to tip over for that to be the end goal? That's where he comes into play.
Well, sometimes it's a matter of, yeah, we can do it, but this tool costs this much, and are we 100% going to need it? Is this going to justify this purchase?
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
My mother told me a long time ago when I was a little kid, when I used to fix everything, if I can take it apart, I should be able to put it back together, right? So just that little thing that she told me when I was a little kid makes me mentally dissect everything before I even touch it. And that's where the confidence comes that I can figure it out. Like if it's on paper.
Well, your mom was the first one that instilled belief in you.
Well, yeah, but I also ended up with a lot of extra screws and parts, and the things never really worked again. But
that's why I don't work on my own vehicles.
Yes, me either. Well, so one of the core principles that Ed teaches is called the RAS, or the reticular activating system. And it's literally a neuro circuit in your mind where what you focus on, you attract more of. So if we're focusing on negativity and I can't, and this is tough, my life sucks, whatever. If you're in that kind of a mindset, you are going to bring in more of that into your life.
Yeah.
It's like your subconscious is built to affirm your consciousness, your conscious brain. So it's like, oh, you can't do it. Let me affirm that. Let me make sure that you don't go jumping off a bridge because you're wrong. Like it wants to keep you stable. And so whatever you're thinking of most, whatever you're focused on, where your mind goes is where your subconscious mind goes. And if you're thinking of the positive things and you're thinking of the success of your company and the success of your projects, and this is tough, like especially when things out of your control maybe at some point is causing that to not be true. Like, that you're in the shit, so to speak, but you got keeping a positive mindset. And I've seen this work on multiple projects. Like, just keep thinking about the positive side of things and things tend to work out. That doesn't mean you just sit back on your finger and lean back on your thumb, so to speak. You got to take action, but keeping a positive mindset about things and keeping at the front of your mind the things that you want to achieve, whether it's as an installer, as a company, as regardless of level. I mean, you guys started as installation, as installers, kind of in a bad situation. You learned some stuff. You found a lot of value in, education and training. Mm-hmm. And as you got a little deeper into your install, and you started to get better and better, and then you took the next step, and now you guys own the company and you employ subs and you employ installers. And starting from I'm not going to say an installer, because I wasn't an installer. I was just a guy pushing a broom. They got tricks played on him all the time by my
well, I think that's how every installer starts, right? Every installer starts by pushing the gopher, the grunt, the broom pusher. Everybody starts like that.
So, yeah. Well, some of us are smart enough to maybe go get some training first, or lucky enough to go get some training first, where you have a little bit of knowledge when you walk onto the job site. I had zero knowledge the day I walked onto the job site of what it took to be an installer or do anything. So, but yeah, what you think about, it really affects the opportunities that come your way. It's very similar to if you go buy a new car and, you thought the car was pretty unique. You liked it. You loved it. As soon as you buy it, you see 10 of them on the street.
Yes, 100%.
Well, did 10 more people just get the car that day or something? No, you just didn't recognize it. And now that it's at the front of your mind, you notice it. So you notice, and your subconscious works on the things that you are focusing on. So a lot of mindset, it's easy to say just think positive, but that's one of the hardest things to do when you're in a negative situation.
So what's one of the good exercises for that though? And I think I'm asking on a personal level too. Like I take time to sit back and take a breather and what I call manifest. Right. I try to take time and focus on my subconscious. Does it work all the time? No, but it's a muscle. I feel like I constantly have to work on it. Like I want to know what everybody else does. Is there something else that might work better for me? Is there just
Well,
curious?
it is it is focusing and taking a step back. If you're talking about being in a boiler kind of situation, I'll tell you a story. Breathing, Ed calls it breathing from your heart. It's kind of like just breathing from your chest, but imagining from literally from your heart. It's kind of the way that you feel when you hug somebody you really deeply love, and breathing that in. You know what I mean? And I know this sounds a little pie in the sky stuff, but it is true. But when you're in an emergency situation, uh, you know, working on the exercise of breathing and controlling your breathing comes in real handy when you get in an emergency situation. So I think I've told you guys about the time when I was in Las Vegas and I was on vacation, and I went down to the pool at the condo we were staying at, and I was going down to the swimming pool to check it out. My wife and family was not at the condo at the time. They were out enjoying the strip, and I went down to the pool, walked past the pool, get to the hot tub, and there's this little boy in the arms of another little boy that was probably like 9, and the little boy in his arms looked to be about 2, and it's 117 degrees in Vegas at the time, and I noticed his lips were blue. And I was like, he's in a hot tub. It's 1,000 degrees outside. Something's not right. And I said, is he okay? And they were like, oh, yeah, I mean, it's just a little 9-year-old kid holding him. Well, I grab him and by the arm, and he's a wet noodle. I mean, he's just nothing. I lay him down and I immediately start CPR. And we fast forward that he was revived and lived, and we have contact with him now. But the point I'm going to make is his dad was active military at the time. They were only about 15 feet away, sitting in their lounge chairs, just honestly didn't know anything was wrong. But when the emergency broke out, his mind shut off. And he was bawling, and his wife was bawling, obviously, and a very intense situation. But it shows you, like, and nobody around me, there was probably 80 people there kind of gathering around. No doctor came and took over. No nurse came and took over. There was nobody there. It was just, and had he had to deal with that situation under the mindset he was in at that moment, it would have been dire.
It would have been a completely different outcome, right?
You're right, because you put that, when you say it like that, you're right. The perspective, the being able to, like you said, breathe through your heart, right? Take that breath and actually process what's going on. And instead of thinking about, oh, this is the worst outcome ever, this is not going to turn out, try something, do something, take action.
You have to take action, right? Calm yourself and take action. And this isn't anything. This is a really kind of an emotional situation, obviously, with this little boy, but it was it's a big situation but this works in small situations as well. The point is it's not like we just stood around him praying, hoping he's going to come to life all of a sudden.
Right.
Right? You had to get and take action. And not one time did I think he was going to die. Not one moment in that time did I feel like he was going to die.
Is that positive mindset?
It was belief.
Yes.
I just believed. Call it what you will, but he's alive today. And so, applying this to business, I didn't want to bring down the mood, but I just wanted to bring up, like, there's going to be these boilerplate moments where you're frantic. And sometimes it's in business. I don't know if you guys have been there before, but I've been there, where it's like the stress of the financial situation of a certain deal, like took over. And
we're a small business, man. Nothing is for sure, right? We're just a small business. There's nothing
yeah,
that is certain, right? But I can certainly count on Daniel. He can certainly count on me. We all have our limits, but it's a small business. Like, you get those boiler room scenarios a lot more than you'd like to admit. But is it really us internalizing and then saying, oh no, or is it really the situation is bad? Most of the time it's us reacting and then being reactive, but then the mindset does have to change in order to push through. Sometimes you got to walk away from each other and come back and finish the conversation,
Yep. Yeah, those are all like real day-to-day stuff. Even, if you can keep that belief in yourself that you're going to do it. That's how you guys have done what you've done. You believed in yourselves. And if there's a message to the installation community of any installer out there that's wanting to start their own deal, maybe start a full service shop, you first really have to believe that it's possible, that you can actually do it. The how will come. Heck, you can jump on this podcast, go back and what episode are we on? 40 something. 40. We should be celebrating today. Number 40. Go back and listen to some of the episodes, and it'll help you through a lot of your struggles in business, a lot of your early struggles for sure that I've went through, that you guys have went through. That would help them, right? So, but you do have to believe it's possible. The hows or the mechanisms or the day-to-day techniques, you can learn that. But you won't even try. You won't even take action on those things unless you believe that it's possible. And so what are your guys's, I kind of rambled there for a minute, but I was curious.
I like it, man. I like listening to it. It's nice to hear other perspectives. It's nice to hear from someone else other than other people usually ask us. And, we're usually the ones telling. So it's very refreshing, man.
Right. And it's crazy that I actually listened to Start With Why twice, and then and then now I'm listening to Find Your Why, and that's kind of what it's about. It's about mindset, right? And it's not only in business. Everyone starts with, sometimes you don't know your why, but without understanding it, you don't know exactly what you're working for. And it's not, like you were saying, it's not a matter of the hows and the whats. It's, what are you doing this for? And then all that can fall in place later. As long as you're striving for that goal the entire time, everything else can be learned. And that's pretty much what that book is about.
Does it talk about that? One of the things I've learned is you'll get when I started my company, I just wanted to make some money. I thought Bugattis were on their way. I should have I had Ed back then, but my thought, I just wanted to make money. I thought I could make a bunch more money than I made laying floors for somebody else, and I was employee installer, so I did side jobs and some sub work, but I worked basically most of my time as a employee installer. And I just figured I just wanted money. and that'll get you a certain length in business. That'll get you a certain, you know, distance down the road. But at some point, it's not enough. Money is not going to be an enough driver, because you get to the point, and I got there, where I thought I made it. I mean, we did $2 million one year. In the third year we were in business, 2.4 million, and I thought we had made it. And it was more money than I had ever seen, or certainly ever, you know, produced. Of course, that's revenue, not profit.
Yeah.
So I'm clear with everybody. I didn't make 2.4 million. Our revenues were 2.4, but we were pretty lean. We were only still at the time, we had a little bitty office and subbed out to a warehouse place, the warehouse, and our guys would go pick stuff up there at a United warehouse. And but my point here is that's it. I mean, the next year it was real tough to grow, partially because I had hit that threshold, right? Whether you call it your ceiling, or like Ed kind of puts the thermometer, I had hit the max of my thermometer, the max of my belief system at the time. And I had maxed that sucker out. And the only thing that could happen was either change my belief system, or cool off. And I cooled off, you know, and I didn't know any better at the time. But hopefully this finds the one guy that's out there and is either going through or will go through something like that. And it's like, okay, instead of cooling off, let me think and change my belief system.
Right. And you know,
let me up my belief.
That belief system, what you just said right there too, like that happens a lot. Everybody plateaus mentally, right? It happens a lot, but instead of cooling off or anything like that, we try not to cool off, right? We understand that sometimes we have to take a couple steps back in order to take those next 5 steps forward, right? We understand that part. But using your temperature as a reference, like if we want to hover, or we hit it at 70 was our cap, and we want to hover at 70, like know that it's okay to hover at 70 until the rest of it starts making sense to you, until you find the path that you want to go down. Because I know that we've hit that 70-degree marker a few times, right? And we've intentionally went back down to 50 on our own, and we've unintentionally went back down to 50 on our with the business too. But it was always is a learning curve, right? We learned our lessons from it. We learned that, hey, we made a couple choices that didn't really work out, but we learned from it.
Let me ask you a question. Let me challenge you a little bit.
Yeah.
When you said that you cooled off to 50 on your own, do you think you really cooled off to 50 on your own, or was there fear or things that made you think that if we keep pushing, we're going to fail, and so let's bring it back down a few notches?
I think it was at that point where you see that threshold, and it's like, if we keep on pushing this hard without having the right systems in place, it's going to crash and burn.
Yes.
So it's like you can kind of see that writing on the wall, where it's like, if we can, you know, we can keep on pushing, but eventually something's going to happen, and we're not going to have anything in place to mitigate what just happened. And then we're going to be, you know, pushing ourselves that much further behind. So what can we do now in order to kind of, you know, take your foot off the gas for a little bit, and then get something in place, so that way when you do hit that gas again, it's going to go even further than you could have if you would have just kept your gas on, the foot on the gas in the first place.
So you know, the reason I asked that is because you decided to do less revenue or to pull back your company, but that doesn't necessarily mean you cooled off your temperature gauge. You were strategically planning then at that point. We call it approaching the hurdle, right?
Yeah.
You're at the hurdle. The hurdle
choosing my steps
on you.
a little bit.
You're just walking. All of a sudden, the hurdle's right here, and you're like, "Shit! I've got to take at least a couple steps back to get a running start to clear this sucker." So you just approach the hurdle and you're like, okay, strategically, the best thing to do is take a couple steps back, but I believe I can clear the hurdle.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess if we
I
didn't
just
really
got to take
cool
a couple
off.
steps back, get a little bit of running start, get 2 or 3 steps behind me, and then I can clear that sucker.
Yeah, we never really changed our we never really changed the goal, but you're right. That's a way better way to put it. We never changed the goal and the next milestone we were trying to achieve. We just knew that at that moment with the cards that we had, that wasn't going to work to achieve that. So we had to go back and
right.
regroup.
So I think like a while ago you were talking about, when you first started, money, money, money. How can I make money, money, money? And then there comes a point in what you're doing that you realize it's like sometimes you have to realize that money is just a byproduct of your main goal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
providing value. Well, and that's where you finding your why
Mm-hmm.
is that's the piece that can elevate you to the next step, and belief. That's what brings the belief. A strong why, like whatever that is for each individual person, um, that's stronger than money. Money is the byproduct of providing value to the marketplace. That's it. That's the bottom line, right? That's how someone shows you appreciation for bringing something of value to them. Outside of that, um, if money didn't work that way, it'd be pretty worthless, right? So the value that you provide to the marketplace is why you get money, but your why is how you break through the ceilings or move your temperature gauge up. That's where you get your belief. That's where you get the gumption to believe that you can do something like build the best flooring company in Michigan, but then wait a second, maybe I'll build the best flooring company in the entire Midwest, or the most innovative flooring company, or I'm going to change the installation, industry. Or a lot of the things that you guys have started to tackle has come from a bigger why than and money's just on the side. That it comes from providing value. And a lot of times you got to deposit in that penny bank longer than you'd like
Mm-hmm.
before that value turns into money. But Go Carerra for me has certainly been
Just
a
so you know,
pure
man, we
labor
advocate
of
all the time.
love.
We advocate
And
all the time.
what's that?
So we advocate for you all the time, man. Just so you know, like, I just wish people would understand. Like, it's so hard for the installers not to understand. I'm like, when we're explaining to them, we're not trying to sell them something. We're trying to help them, and it's because of the why, right? Like you said, I needed money. That's why I started working. Once I started working, it wasn't no longer about the money. As I was making friends. That's why I was working. And then it was like, oh, now I can buy things for myself. Now I could do more things. And everybody's why, my why changed again when like it evolved. When my son was born, my why changed. It went
Yeah, so
it went way
there's
bigger.
there's one of our biggest whys for most people, most men. The big why is family. You know, um, trying to provide something, a better experience for your children than what you may have gotten. Um, that's a huge why. And then sometimes you maybe you grew up great, you want to emulate and at least meet the experience you had, but you want to do maybe spend more time than it's really rare to have. I know my kids, like I gave them a way better life, like multitudes better than I was given, but I was somewhat absent. you know I mean, there was a cost to pay, there was a price to pay for that.
I feel that.
And you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm sure they, my daughter in particular, well, in particular, she's the only one with kids right now, thank goodness. But uh, you know, really values the time with her children, you know, and that's a big piece, probably trying to a part of that is like, that's, you can't buy that back. she realizes something that I was going for a different why at the time. It's the one thing that always stays in my mind when I'm trying to take myself to the next level is becoming the person that I'm going to have to be to achieve the success that I want, right? Like become the person first, and then so that you're ready for that success. And that helps a lot too. And there's a lot of different concepts that we've talked about here, whether it's keeping the positive mindset, realizing that your reticular activating system actually brings more to you of what you think about the most, or finding your why and realizing that money is just a byproduct of the value you provide, or in this instance is becoming the man that I have to become to get the success that I want to get. Like you don't just have that next level success in the old you. The old you is not prepared. That's why lottery winners, like 90% of them, go broke.
Yeah.
No matter how much money they win,
Hey,
fellas.
I'm not gonna lie.
Like
I
they
would
go
probably
broke.
go broke if I won the lottery too.
You know,
I'm
you
not gonna lie.
don't
If I
believe
won
you
the
deserve
lottery,
it.
you guys will probably never see me again.
I highly doubt that.
You wouldn't come down to Wichita and see us?
Yeah, he probably buy a
Jump
house
on your
with me
private
and
jet and come down and say hi?
Via Zoom.
Via Zoom from the Bahamas.
From my mansion somewhere. I would not move to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
I forgot about your experience.
But you're right.
Noted.
The why definitely has a lot to do with mindset, right? And in order to stay on track with the why, everybody, your why is going to evolve. It's going to change, right? Like I when we were talking, I just pictured my why as a pyramid, right? Like my initial why was down here at the bottom point of my pyramid, but then it evolves into many different whys. And at the end of my life, I know that it's all going to tie right back to that same why. Like it's all going to tie together. And
I think it's probably good.
Here's an interesting concept, because you talked about the end of your life, but one of the concepts is that when you die and you go to heaven, that you meet the you were meant to be. Now, you don't have to be believe in heaven or hell and all this to get the concept. The concept is like what your potential is. Someday you're either going to have the feeling of regret or achievement to that potential. Like, are you pushing yourself enough? So sometimes we get scared and we're scared to grow into pain. You know, if we know that next level is going to be very painful, then we're scared to grow into pain. In fact, some experts will say that you will self-sabotage to not grow into pain. Like, it does make sense. Like, I'm going to do something to purposely go into a pain line, you know? Yeah. But a lot of times it's your why that'll get you plow through that pain line, and then your ability to execute. I mean, I won't get off the fact that we have to act and execute. You know, you have to do things with that belief, with that mindset that you can achieve it. The very first, you know, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. Remember that. That's one of the best sayings ever in that many words, you know?
You gotta say it with emotion too. If you believe you can do it, you're right. But if you believe that you can't, you're also right.
Yes.
It's like, I say that to my kids all the time. And I mean, they're kids. They're 10 and my girls are 6. And I know that in one ear and out the other, right? But
no, it matters.
One time it's going to stick. One time it's going to stick, and it's going to be like,
well, as it's almost like a crop duster. As it's flying through, it's just leaving a little bit of stuff each time.
I hope so. And it does suck to sound like so cliche and and do that. But it's so true. What do you do to for your mental awareness and your mental peace to make sure that you keep on track? I mean, I have a tendency to overload myself. Daniel does too. Like I don't. Lately, my outlet, since this is my first official year not coaching, not having a team of my own and traveling, my outlet, unfortunately, is going to be. I mean, unfortunately for my kids, it's going to be their sports, right? Like that's going to be my outlet, hanging out with my kiddos doing that. That's fortunate for me. I'm happy to be able to do that, but it's unfortunate for them because they're going to hear me cussing and telling them they got to be better. But not at my 6-year-olds though. I won't do that out loud.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think, well, you're reaffirming your why every time you go there, every time you're coaching, so I think, for me, realizing that I've been real selfish in my life. I've built most of what I've built for me or for my ego or to give my kids a better life. But, there's some good in there, but a lot of it was built on, my ego. Now I'm really going through this drudgery of working on Paul to serve other people, to get better and to care about other people and to make a difference in other people's lives and not just my own.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty selfish. Maybe that's warranted because I mean, if I took an hour to tell you about my life, you might, you could probably understand at least, but have you, it brings to thought the movie. Have you guys seen that movie, Bruce Almighty?
Yeah.
Yep.
When God goes back to him and is like, you've had my powers for over a week. And what have you done? He's like, I'm righted a few wrongs in my own life. Okay. And he got back to people. He went and got, the girl that he, at some point, that's what I'm saying is your reasoning and your whys and your belief systems kind of change as you go. And it's still I try to keep my, first off, goals are like paramount. We've had a goal setting podcast before. I think that kind of keeps the target out in front of you where you have something to aim at on the hard days. Clearing your mind and giving yourself a break from the day-to-day just barrage that happens in business, and then rewarding yourself. Maybe, coaching your kids is very rewarding for you, but find ways to reward yourself. It doesn't have to be material, or it could be material. There's been times where I'm like, I want this XYZ. Well, if I want that, frankly, I could probably go buy it right now, but I force myself to almost earn it. Like, yeah, well, if I do this, this, and that, like these 3 things, and it's not even tied to money a lot of times. Like if I wanted to get I'm getting ready to, for the first time in 25 years or 30 years, probably, I'm not going to have a truck. I'm getting rid of my truck and I'm going to drive a car. And
Hold on, like you're gonna just park your truck somewhere, right?
No, well, I have a half dozen at the office that I can use at any point. So it's gonna be one of the office trucks.
Daniel had to park his truck.
Look, I just had to get rid of my truck too.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, you didn't have to do that to get a new car, dude.
He was
Call me next time. I'll tell you how to get a new one without doing that.
Unfortunately, the parts and stuff are so expensive. I don't even know if they'll total it. I don't think it's that much damage.
Wow, that didn't look good.
No, but I'm probably gonna have to wait like 6 months in order to get it back.
Wow. So what happened?
Someone was making a right-hand turn and changed their mind at the last second when I was right there.
You know,
Yikes.
when he told me that, all I can think of first thing, big brother status was, well, first thing was, is everybody okay? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Second was, so it's your fault. You're just telling me it's your fault. Third was, if you picture them slowing down, like, because I've done it, slow down, like, oh, nope, never mind, you jump in. But me as the person behind, I'm timing it out. I've already let my foot off of the brake. I'm back on the accelerator because they're going to be turning and I'm going to be clearer. Yeah.
Dude, the only accident I've been in is the same thing. Someone was getting going. I thought they were going to continue to finish their right-hand turn. So I looked and there was no one coming. So I hit the gas as my eyes were off and they just stopped.
Bam.
Gave them one of them. Nobody got totaled, but yeah, so I forget where we were at with
You're going to get the first time in your life you're getting a car.
Oh yeah, so I'm going to buy a car. I've decided I'm going to buy a car, but this time I decided I'm not just going to go buy it. I'm going to put some parameters on myself that I can go buy this car that I as cars go, you know, it's kind of funny since I've never bought. I cannot remember buying a car other than for my wife.
So this is
Like-
where the Bugatti comes in?
No, I'm looking at an Audi S7,
Oh,
and
those are pretty, dude. Those are nice.
and
you can
but
get, you can get a manual though, right?
what's
You
that?
can
Yeah,
get
it's manual.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, this is automatic. Sorry, I'm not gonna drive every day on a manual. Now I drive my toy's a manual, and I learned on a manual, so I think that's a valuable lesson. Make sure your kids learn how to drive that. But the point is, I'm just using it as a reward system.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying this out instead of just going and buying the car. I've put a couple of small goals in my head, like do this and do that and do this and achieve these few things. And it's not dollar for dollar. It's not like, okay, go make, $85,000 and then you can go buy the car. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just trying to give myself a couple of little kicks in the butt that I need on a couple of items. And if I get those items done, some stuff that Paul Stewart's procrastinated on, I go buy the car.
And,
So
it's kind of like what I do with the kids. Like when I grew up, or when my kids are growing up, is Dad, like, what's the thing? V-Bucks now. Like, Dad, can I get some V-Bucks? Well, you're asking me for something, but you haven't shown me anything. Like, show me something, and then you can get rewarded, right? With V-Bucks. You're doing that for yourself. No, you know what? That's actually a good idea.
The point to that is, we have talked on this podcast about rewarding your employees and showing them appreciation, but how often do we do it for ourselves? So that's really where that was going. Like, you guys reward your employees, we reward our employees. You want to make it like any business coach, I shouldn't say any, but a lot of good business coaches will, tell you to make sure your team knows that you appreciate them, to show appreciation, right? And reward your team, but also, that appreciation piece. So how often do you do that for yourself? Care about you too. And that's part of the mindset of belief and achievement is we need to reward ourselves a little bit too. So just, I think that is kind of where my mind is at right now on that particular item. We'll see how it works out, and hopefully if I knock it out of the park, I'll get the car sooner than later. And then if I procrastinate any longer, then it might, be a few more months down the road. But yeah, so just to recap real quick, I cannot believe an hour has went by. Jeez.
Is it really?
Yeah, 54 minutes.
Can you believe that? Wow. So we've talked about keeping a positive mindset, understanding that your reticular activating system does bring more into your life, more trying to affirm what your conscious mind's thinking. It's gonna bring more of that to reaffirm yourself. That's its job. And we talked about probably one of the biggest things is your why. And so I'm glad you brought that up, Daniel. What, we got another 5 minutes here to finish up. Sometimes we just close it out right here, but I'm curious, what is your favorite kind of insight from that book? Because I want to read it.
It's just how it puts.
Why is the why so important?
So he talks a lot about like Apple and Steve Jobs, and if you have watched the Steve Jobs movie with Ashton Kutcher at all, it kind of what he wrote kind of you see play out in the movie and in Steve's life. It's he had an idea in his head that he wanted to get, this user interface that everyone can use. When you really think about it, when they brought the Apple, what was it, the Apple One?
Macintosh?
This was before the Macintosh. They were like, his mindset was everyone needs one of these, and no one could see it because it wasn't a thing at the time. But his mind wasn't set like right now. His mind is, was already 20 years in the future. And it's essentially that. It's, what do you do? Why are you doing what you're doing? And, in our case, we've always preached, the value that our installations bring to people, and never veering from that. It's what we're there to do every single day. And there's going to be people that don't share that mindset, and that's 100% fine, because he kind of got into Apple and Microsoft, where Apple was based on the quality of the experience, where Microsoft was, as the software. They both had kind of the same goal, but that's why Steve Jobs wasn't like, anyone can use this. He was, I'm going to perfect this, and it's going to be its own ecosystem, as opposed to Microsoft, where everyone can use it. And, he even explained it himself, to where he said he was a fan of Apple for a long time, even though he never owned an Apple, just because what the company stood for. And it's, for me, it's that's why, our slogan is setting the standard one installation at a time. It's I'm not going there to essentially practice on your stuff. That's why we do practice here, because I'm trying to up that level in every single thing that I do. So if I'm, we had a meeting with Nora by Interface, last week, and he said it right. It's like, we're there to do the best job, because even if someone can't necessarily afford, that best job, or what some people would say, they can't afford gold. It's, if they can only afford bronze, that is their gold. So they deserve the same type of installation that you would if you were installing that gold product, even though it's not necessarily that gold product. Not everyone is on that same level, but that's their livelihood. That's
their investment.
That's their investment. That's what they could afford. That is.
I got to give you props. That's a wonderful thought. It's a wonderful thought that just because they can afford what the market calls bronze, that is their gold.
That is their gold. Yeah.
That's a wonderful thought, and one that every damn installer should keep on the top of their mind when you're out installing.
Right. And
whether you're installing a rag or a $80 a yard wool,
that's someone's gold.
Someone's gold. Kudos, guys. That's an awesome thought.
And I think that's a big takeaway from there.
It sucks that it came out like that. The gold, their bronze is their gold. But what it did is it opened up our values, and it actually made, we lost a relationship off of this conversation because we walked away from the job. But it was my, I felt it was safer for me, safer for the crew, and it was our choice. But it also solidified what our values were, right?
Right.
That's what we're trying to do.
And
it made us like,
the rep was asking us why we didn't do work for a certain company, and the best explanation that I can come up with is we don't share the same values.
Yeah.
And that's okay. They're going to do their thing, we're going to do ours, but I'm not going to sacrifice my values to make someone else happy, because that only deteriorates what we stand for. So
Yeah.
that's the big thing, right? It's people are going to have different values, people are going to have their own whys. The thing is that you stick with your why, and the people that you want to attract, you will.
Yes.
And the people that you don't want to, you won't.
Yeah, that's right there, kind of encompasses what we were just talking about. And there's a great saying that says, you do no service to the world by dimming your light. Let me see if I can say this right. By dimming your light for the comfort of others, like because you shine too bright, and it may make other people go uncomfortable. You're not doing the world any service by you dimming your light down to their standards. Keep your light bright, and you'll attract those people who have that. And I know we're running over a little, but another thought to me is that this also all equates to who you surround yourself with and who you hang out with. They say the you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with. Like that's who you are. A lot of people will say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. I can tell you who you are by your 5 closest friends, or 5 closest people. Friends in particular, because you get to pick them. Family, what's the saying? You can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your family, or something like that.
Or pick your butt, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, you can pick your butt and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your family. Yeah, what a great discussion. I love that last thought there, man.
Yeah, and the other thing that I've been doing lately too, is because we're focused on mindset, is realizing that you can change, right? And you don't know everything. So I watched a TikTok, because everyone's got a TikTok these days, and you actually learn quite a bit of stuff on there. And there was a motivational speaker on there that he said that he was 20 years old. He just got done with his, one of his conferences, got his first standing ovation from his peers, and then got into a car accident. And the doctors told him that he was never going to walk again. And he said it was kind of from that moment on, it was, I'm just going to be the happiest person that I can, regardless of the circumstances, because I'm still alive. And his doctors were worried about him, and approached his parents like, this is going to come out some way, somehow. He's going to end up sabotaging himself. But it's really that mindset thing. He said his dad talked to him, and he was like, I thought you knew me better than that. So he explained it like, if something happens and there's no way that you can change the outcome, you have 5 minutes to be angry, and then you got to be done. So I've been trying to implement that, and it's really hard to change, but that comes with practice too.
It's a muscle, dude. It's a muscle, man. You got to do that.
So I've been trying to you got to let some things go in order to move forward.
Yep.
Yeah, shedding the skin of your old self on a big level like that it's hard, man. It's hard to let go of that comfort of who you are and operate in the same, and operate in a different way, or think in a different way. But if something's tugging at you to do something else, to do something greater, to go to the next level or go a different direction or whatever, if something's tugging at you, it's hard to also not listen to that. So you get this conflict in yourself where it's like, I know I can do more. I know I can be more helpful to people, or I know I can grow the company to my dreams. But at the same time, it requires change. It requires a new belief in yourself, and almost like a snake's shedding its old skin to grow. That's why they shed it. They have to. They can't grow with the old skin on, so they shed it off to a new set. And if we can do that and remind ourselves, and I like the thought that, like, give yourself 5 minutes to be pissed off, but then after that, back at it.
And that's what Eduardo says right here. He says the old you has to die to make room for the new you. But like you said, you don't necessarily have to die. You just have to grow. And you have to realize that you can grow.
Well, the old you doesn't.
Yeah, most of the time, the old you has a lot. I know the saying, and not to disagree with Eduardo at all, but I think you're right. I think it's more about growing, because you got a good foundation. Even if you had a rough upbringing or maybe didn't do all the right things like I didn't, there's still a lot of good there to build off of. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. The good stuff, just grow, build that, and kind of shed some of that old, the bad stuff, the stuff that's keeping you down, the stuff that's weighing you down, your past. Almost said the F-bomb. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself,
and just
freaking forgive yourself for some stuff.
Just to go off of Eduardo's thing right there is, and that kind of hits home for me too, right? Is the old me didn't die to me, right? The old me is still there. The old me died to everyone else who knew the old me. That old me that they
that's a good
dead,
point.
Right?
Percent.
Yeah, is died, but no, that's still me. But that's why I'm who I am today. That's why we have the goals. That's why we have the whys. That's why we try to stay focused to a certain extent. Obviously, you got to try to maintain focus, and it's the only reason we keep pushing forward, right? When I keep pushing forward, and luckily I got Daniel to bounce ideas off. He bounces ideas off me, but
I've got a Daniel too.
Yeah,
everyone needs a Daniel. I think that's the point of this episode.
Yeah, get yourself a Daniel. That's another thing.
But man.
Well,
this was a great episode, though. I liked it.
I liked it too.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
That was a ghetto face.
Well, we're right there. I know that we've went over, and it's such a fascinating topic. And when you start talking about the application of all this stuff, I know it can seem like, it doesn't apply to you. And I'm talking to the audience and people who will consume this content elsewhere is, the journey of self-discovery and personal development and mindset it's a lifelong thing. So you're signing up for a long time. Mm-hmm. So don't get discouraged. And as always, if you ever want to chat with one of us, the way to get a hold of us. We've told you guys our emails, and we're on here every week. Feel free to jump on and participate.
Facebook,
I will say
social media.
Yeah, we're on social, on both of our channels. So, and if you do like this, you're watching it on whatever medium, consider giving us a like or a subscribe. I see this on YouTube all the time. Smash that like button. Well, or gently rub the like button. I don't care. Just, give us some likes, give us some love. So,
and then next week we got to start putting this out there. We're going to be giving this guy away.
Right? That's next week,
I believe so.
All right.
I think that's what
everybody
Ashlyn said, right?
Well, it is now.
Ashlyn just confirmed.
It's official.
Next week, Apple Watch. So if you're watching this on YouTube or something, you better tune in live next week. That could be yours. All right, guys, man, I enjoyed the, it's just a box. It'll hold a necklace. I enjoyed this immensely. I feel like I could keep going for another 30 minutes, but then people's going to see an hour and a half episode on YouTube and not even click on it. So
right.
Well, it's episode 40.
We'll have to circle back and do some more of this.
We're gonna have to have Ashlyn go through and just cut up the interesting parts and start posting them on Facebook or
Yeah.
TikToks.
TikToks.
TikTok.
We need some TikTok action going.
Do.
All right, guys, man, I love you, dudes. I
Thank you,
enjoyed
brother.
this so much, and I appreciate you guys participating. And you always bring something that's a nugget that I get to take away. So very selfishly, I'm very grateful, and
Likewise.
and I know
Likewise.
that our audience loves it. And
when you were talking earlier, I was downloading more books.
So he wasn't paying attention to you. See?
be a consummate learner. That's a good way to
And
be, for sure.
for anybody out there, next week we will have the 800 number out for everyone who needs to rent a Daniel for a day. 1-800 got Daniel. We'll get that active.
I'll throw my Daniel on there too.
He was one of them. He was already on there.
All right, hey brother, I'll see you at FCICA.
I'll see you next week in Arizona.
Will you be there too, Daniel?
No, I will not. I will be here. So that
Okay.
way, just like last time, we're all good.
I know,
like
last
every time.
FCICA.
Like every time.
Well, we'll see you there, and we'll be shooting from there next week. So,
Yeah. I'm actually a panelist for one of the panels this go around. So
He'll have these sweet
Yeah, I'm
microphones
on,
for you guys to use.
I'm running a one of the wall tile 101 panel.
are you?
Yeah.
Better learn some stuff.
I'm gonna go sit in there. I'm gonna be a heckler for sure.
All right, guys. Signing out. We'll talk to you
Take it
next
easy, brother.
week, and see you in Tucson, brother.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. See ya.